Okay, so we're reached our very last anomaly. And then we'll be ready to get back to the normal world. Okay, so our last anomaly, fragment level, is what we're calling pair and plural items. Do you remember what an item is?
As an owner item?
Yep, from owner item.
So in a possessive fragment, you have two parts, an owner and an item.
So an example of a possessive fragment would be
my cat.
My cat. Cats again, right? So my cat.
Yeah.
So which one is the owner, which one is the item?
I have a cat, so I'm the owner, and the cats are the item.
Cat is the item. Okay. And then what about the parent plural part of this equation? So remind me of my labels, the doer labels and the receiver labels.
So doer labels were un, ani, una, atun.
Un, ani, una, atun. And why did we have multiple labels for one function?
So un was what we called standard. And we had ani, which was for dual or pairs. And then we had una, which was for plurals. And then atun, which was for feminine plurals or inanimate objects.
Okay, so I'm going to write down ani here and una, right? Our pair and our plural. What about our receiver labels?
An, ani, ina, atin. So same thing. An is standard. Ani was for pair. Ina was for plural. And atin was for feminine plural or inanimate objects.
Okay, so again, I'm going to write down ina and ani. So our pair and our plural. So what we're going to be studying in this lesson is when the item, so this thing, right, cat, in the example you gave, looks like this. Is either a pair or a plural.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you notice about these pair and plural ending labels? What's like one continuous factor? They all end in what?
A noon.
They all end in a noon, right? So here's our rule, right? When the item is a pair or plural, that noon, right, that characterizes the pair or plural is going to disappear.
Okay.
So let's look at some examples. So abawani, right? Abawani, what's the ending indicator here?
The ani dual.
Yeah, ani, which is the dual, right? The dual doer label, right? So what if I want to add a hu to abawan, right? I want to make it possessive. So abawan means parents, right? Two parents. And then hu means his, right? So I want to say his two parents. We have abawani plus hu, but what's the rule? The rule is that
the noon drops.
The noon drops, right? Whenever you have a item that is a pair or a plural, the noon drops. So abawani plus hu becomes abawahu.
Okay, so the noon is gone.
The noon is gone.
So anytime we have ani, aini, or una or ina, then the noon will go away.
Exactly, right? If one of these endings ends up as an item, or a word with one of these endings ends up as an item, the noon will go away.
All right.
Okay, let's look at another example. Mursiluna and naqa. So what's the ending for mursiluna?
The una.
The una, right? So that's the plural, doer label, plus an naqa. So we want to turn this into a possessive. What's going to happen?
The noon will drop.
The noon is going to drop. So mursilun means senders,
and
then naqa means she-camel. So if we want to say senders of the she-camel, turn it into a possessive, right? This noon is going to drop.
All right.
Do you see that pattern there? So we end up with abawahu and mursilu and naqa.
Okay. So I see, like, I understand the process and I see how it's happening. I see the noon dropping and stuff. But my worry is that if someone were just to give me abawahu, I wouldn't be able to kind of move backwards and figure out that there was a noon there. Like, I see how it happens, but I don't think I'd be able to recognize it.
So once the noon is gone, how do you know that there was a noon there in the first place?
Exactly.
That's a good question. So actually, if we go back to our labels, right, ani, una, ani, ina, and then we just cross out these noons, what are we left with? With ani, we're left with a with una, we're left with a u, and with ani and ina, we're left with a ya, right? So basically, if you're left with a alif, wow, or ya, there's a pretty good chance that there used to be a noon there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So if These were the vowels, right? Vowels
Our vowels, right? So if you see a vowel, so if you're looking at a possessive, right, the rules of possessive still apply, right? You'll still be able to recognize a possessive. You'll see general followed by specific, right? But if the first word ends in a alif, waw, or ya, chances are there used to be a noon there.
Gotcha.
Okay, so if we go back and look at abawahu and mursilu and naqa, right, without having seen the process, right, we'd be able to say abawa, right, is general. There's nothing making it specific. And then hu is a pronoun, so that's specific, so I know it's possessive. And look, my item is ending in an alif.
Okay, so that tells me that a noon used to be there.
Yeah, so the original was abawani, and then I recognize here the ani ending.
Mm-hmm.
Right, same with mursilu and naqa. Right, mursilu is general, and naqa has a alif lam, so it's specific, so I know this is possessive.
Mm-hmm.
And on my item, I see that there's a wow ending.
Gotcha.
Right, a vowel ending. So we can add the noon back there, and we see mursi luna. Right, and now we see the una ending. Makes sense? So the way to work backwards, if you see a vowel on your item, then chances are there used to be a noon there.
Okay, so if the last letter of our item is alif, waw, or ya, then chances are we can, if we add a noon back on, that tells us which ending label it was. We originally had.
Yep, so quick recap of this lesson.
So when we have ani, una, ina, ani, aini, una, or ina,
any of the dual or plural
labels on our item, the noon will drop. And we know that the noon drops because the item will have ended in an alif, waw, or ya.
Yep, we'll see a vowel ending. Good, all clear?
Mm-hmm.